Good day, pre-algebra. We are starting unit number 4, which is percentages. Right now we are 0% of the way through, but by the end we'll be 100% of the way through, and then we'll have our test on it. And really, we're gonna fly through these first 4 objectives because it's converting decimals and fractions to percentages. Both things you've done before. Okay. In fact, one of your entrance exam objectives was to order decimals, fractions, and percentages. And so you've been introduced. You should be familiar with all 3 forms. We're just going to kind of recap it today. Yeah.
Isn't all you do just move the decimal?
I will call on you when I ask for how to do it, and then you can cover that. Okay. But first, we are going to kind of just review what a percentage is. Okay. I've got this number line here, and we're going to mark the very left end 0, and below that 0%. Okay. Then away on the right side here, what are percentages out of? Realistically here, we're not talking about always give 110%, right? You can't actually do that, right? What are percentages actually out of? 100%. Okay. There are times when you'll have a percentage greater than 100%. Extra credit on a test is the probably most familiar example. But really, percentages, either it's a 0% chance, something's not going to happen, you've done nothing of it, or you've done all of it, right? One whole, 100%. So in the middle here, let's mark halfway. 50% is the percentage. What's the decimal that corresponds to 50%? 0.5. Okay. And you might want to add a 0.50 there just to really see that relationship between 50 and 50%. Okay. Halfway between 0 and 50% is the decimal 0.25, which is 25%, right? Then halfway between 50% and 100%, 75%, which is the decimal 0.75. So, Cade, what connections do you see here between a decimal and its value in percentage?
You just move the decimal over 2 times.
Yeah, there's a direct relationship here, right? To convert from a decimal to a percentage, you're essentially moving that decimal over 2 spots, right? 0.75, 1, 2, 75%. Okay, 0.5. It's a very common mistake for folks to write 0.5 as 5%. But why is it 50%? Because you move over twice, right? 1, 2. That extra spot gets filled in with a 0, and it's 50%. Okay, 50%. Why twice? Let's talk about that for a second. Why twice? Why?
Wait, I still have one question.
Yeah.
So 0.5 would be 50, but then 0.05 would be 5.
That is correct. Yep. Why do we move the decimal over twice? What does the word percent literally mean? 100%. Percent per 100, right? Out of 100. Think about words that have, here's some Greek and Latin for you, right? Lit connection, century, 100 years. That's the only way I can think of. Right? Money, like cents, 25 cents. It's 25 pennies out of 100 that would make the next dollar, okay? Jeffrey, second warning to you. Third one, I'll ask you to leave. By ask you to leave, I mean I'll tell you to leave. So there's no confusion. So that the reason why we move over twice is that to get to a percent per 100. Yeah.
Scope means an instrument.
We're not going through all the Greek and Latin right now. Okay. So you can go through and label on this number line where all those decimals or percentages are going to be. 30%, for example, is going to be a little bit beyond 25%. And what would the decimal value of 30% be? Decimal value of 30%. Jeffrey?
0.30.
0.3. If you want to put the 0 on there, just to help remember it's 30 and not 3, that would be helpful. 0.08. Kind of the one in the middle here. Where's 0.08 going? Haley? 8%, right? So kind of more towards this end here. 0.08 going to be 8%. And then the rest of the page is really just converting, okay, from decimal to percentage. There is this section here on common mistakes where I kind of hammer home that whole when is there zero, where's the zero thing, like 0.7, what percentage is that? 70%. 70%, right? That 7 is in the tenths place. It's like having 10 dimes, 70 cents, 70%. 3%, what's the decimal there? Colin? 0.03, right? 3 out of 100, 3 hundredths, 0.03. We already did 0.08 above, that's 8%. 0.1, John?
10%.
10%. And 60%, decimal form of this, K, 0.6 or 0.60, okay? What if you do have something like 1.3? What would 1.3 be as a percentage? It's greater than 1, so it's greater than a whole, right? What do you think, Wyatt?
130%.
Very good. Our trick of moving that decimal point over 2 spots still holds, right? 1, 2 to the right, fill in that placeholder with a 0, and we get 130%. And it makes sense that this percentage is greater than 100% because our original value is greater than a whole, right? 1.3, 130%. Any others on here that you've got questions about? We'll spend like a minute on this page before we go on to the next one. Jack.
What is like one for the one to the left of 1.3? How would you do 2 numbers?
1.56. Look at your decimal. Move it over twice. 156%.
Oh,
You still look like you had a question.
no, I'm just confused why I didn't get that.
Okay, Blake?
I don't get the very last one.
List 3 types of data for which using a decimal is most appropriate. Okay? What are some things like those of you that like to bake? Okay? Do you ever look at a recipe and it says you need 0.125 cups of flour?
I hate that.
No, it uses fractions, right? So you wouldn't really see decimals in recipes. They're not really used there. Okay? You ever go to a store and see something for 11/4 dollars?
No.
No, it's 2.75, $2.75, right? So money might be one example where decimals are used instead of fractions. You know, you don't go to the store and see something is 200% dollars. No, it's $2, right? 2.00. Okay. So what are some other types of data where we could use fractions or percentages, but we use decimals just because it makes more sense? That's what that's asking. Okay, money is one example. What are a couple others? Okay, I'm not asking for them now, but that's what you want to write down there. Blake, does that help? Okay. Anything else on this page? John.
0.99.
0.99. What do you think that's going to be as a percentage?
100.
Close. But if you've got that decimal point and you move it over to the right 2 spots, 99%. Almost 100%, but not quite.
When you rounded it.
You do not need, no.
You know,
No, we need not round here. Okay?
With another one here.
Yes, 1 whole would be 100%. Jack?
We get rid of the 0, right?
Where?
Well, when we remove the decimal, we remove the 0 too, right?
Right.
Kind of go in a group.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, when you have 0 holes, you don't put the 0 on. Yeah, no.
And then couldn't you just like for the 1 number ones, can't you just add a 0 and then delete that and add the percentage?
Yes.
And then for the 2, you just delete that and add a percentage. Delete.
You can tell you're in 2021 when students say delete something that you're writing by hand, but yes,
Oh.
that's essentially it. All right, Abby.
I don't understand, right?
So the second brain buster there, it says write a decimal between 84% and 85%. What's 84% as a decimal?
.84.
0.84. Okay. What's 85% of the decimal? 0.85. I'm looking for a decimal that is between 0.84 and 0.85. Okay. And you might think, well, there's no number between 84 and 85. How is that possible? Remember that decimals don't have to only stop at 2 decimal places. Right? You can go further up. Okay? So I'm going to leave you with that and let you brain bust the rest. Last one, then we go on, Kate.
You have multiple decimal points.
In a number? No. No. Because decimals separate wholes from parts, and you can't really have a whole and another whole. No. Doesn't work like that. Okay? The second page that's going to be part of your homework is converting a fraction to a percentage. Folks, converting a fraction to a percentage. And we've already defined percentage on CO19. A percentage literally means out of 100. Okay? Out of 100. And so when you look at a fraction, such as 27 hundredths, that is written out of 100, what is that percentage going to be? John?
27%.
27%. 27 out of 100. With fractions, we like that denominator of 100, okay? Because it already says, literally, out of 100. How about 35 hundredths? What's that going to be as a percentage? John again.
35.
35%. 35 out of 100. What will 90 hundredths be as a percentage, Griffin? 90%. 90 out of 100. 29 hundredths as a percent, Colin. 29%. 3 hundredths, Jeffrey. 3%. 3 out of 100. And even something like 189 hundredths. Someone's calling in the answer. Colin, 189%. Okay? When your denominator is 100, whatever your numerator is, that is your percentage. Because it's that much out of 100. Now, if you look at the rest of the page, you notice that there aren't a whole lot of denominators of 100. So why am I going through this when this isn't actually what you find on the page? So how would you handle something like 3/5?
What is that? The 1, 2, 3, 4.
Don't worry about it yet. How would you handle something like 3/5? Lexi?
You would multiply 5 by 20 to get 100.
Yes.
And you do 3 times whatever number you multiply the bottom by.
We did this when we converted from fractions to decimals. If you want your denominator to be 100 and it's not, figure out how to get there, right? Lexi said we can multiply 5 by 20 to get that denominator of 100. But, of course, we also have to multiply our numerator by 20, and that's going to give us 60. So since 3/5 is equivalent to 60 hundredths, what percentage does 3/5 represent? 60%. Okay? Let's skip over a couple. 35 fiftieths. That's not out of 100, but how do we get there? Dave? Multiply 50 and 35 by 2. That gives us 70 out of 100. 70 hundredths. What percentage is 35 fiftieths then? 70%. Okay? Now, you will not be able to use a calculator on this test. And so getting up to 100, that's what this section up here is for. It's a key point. That looks like a key.
Yes.
Yeah. It's a key point here. These are our list of friendly denominators. They are friendly because you can get to 100 pretty easily. Something like 17, what do I multiply 17 by to get to 100? What's up with that? Okay, that's not friendly. The fractions on your test are only going to be friendly, which means without a calculator, if you've got this written on a help sheet, you're in pretty good shape. So how do you get from 1 to 100? You multiply by 100. How do you get from 4 to 100? Multiply by what? 25. 10 times 10. 25 times 4. 2 times 50. 5 times 20. Now I'm going to get some weird ones. 11. 11 doesn't go to 100 evenly, but what does it go into evenly? 99, which is super, super close, right? So we're going to still consider this friendly because I've got one, like this 2 11s here. I can't get to 100 exactly, but if I multiply by 9 and by 9, I've got 18 99ths. That's close enough to where I can say this is going to be 18%. Okay? So when you did this last year in 6th grade, you probably didn't work with 11, 33, 3 or 9, 2, maybe 3 and 33, but 11 and 9, maybe not too often. Now we are, because we can get so close where we're still going to consider that friendly. 33, what do you multiply that by?
30.
By 3. 3 times 33, 9 times 11, 20, kind of back to more friendly ones now, 20 by 5 and 50 by 2. Right? So you will not be able to use a calculator, but this chart should help you know how to get to 100 from whatever your denominator is. Okay? Questions on this? Blake? Very well. Any? Okay. Okay. Your homework for tomorrow is just going to be page 37 and 38. Okay, so all of CO19 and the first page of CO20. Don't worry about the word problems on the second page of CO20. We'll come to that tomorrow. Folks, don't start packing up yet. We're not quite done. Okay. So homework tomorrow, CO19, and then the first page only of CO20. Questions, comments, concerns, complaints, comments, congratulations, criticisms.
Congratulations!
Thank you, John. Check, educate, see what you can do to improve your grade. Okay. Remember, you can retake pretty much everything. You can get 100% on every single test by doing the retakes. Okay. Khan Academy, you can do the assignments as many times as you need to until they're due to get up to 100%. The math packets, you can turn in early. If your grade is not what you want it to be, think about what you can do between now and Friday. For most of you, it's going to be retakes. I'm here today after school, Thursday after school, Wednesday during class, Friday during class. Lots of opportunity. All right? All right, that is how I'm at.
Thanks for watching.